A recent report by the real estate market group Zillow shows rent in the Boston area has gone up more than 5% in the past year, making the average cost of a single-bedroom apartment in Greater Boston between $2,800 to $3,000. And though that number is high, experts say it's a drop from rates in September. Joining us now to discuss all of this is Skylar Olsen, who is a chief economist at Zillow. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we've been talking about overly priced rental properties in the Boston area for months now. When will it be a good time, do you think, for people to rent again in this area?
Yeah, well, it may take a bit of time for incomes to catch up, certainly to make it more affordable, but there is a lot of nuance in those year-over-year numbers. So yes, rent is up 5% over the whole year, but a lot of that growth was really just over the first half. Over the last 6 months, seasonally adjusted rents in the Boston area have actually been flat. It helps renters at least get their feet under them, and that's asking rate rent. So hidden in a lot of these metrics as well are potential increases to things like concessions, like 1 month free or waived fees.
So on a national level, Boston is leading New York City and Los Angeles in high apartment rates. And what would you say is driving the numbers here in Boston to rise like that? We used to be behind those other cities.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime that we're talking about the full nation, I really have to think in generational terms. So nationally speaking, this is the year where we would expect to have kind of record amounts of 25 to 45-year-olds. So that surrounds kind of peak moving ages. Below 36, you do tend to be a renter. And in the Boston area, renters tend to be even older still because it is, a less affordable market than nationally. People move to Boston in order to build careers, particularly at that stage of life, right? And Boston continues to be a kind of metropolitan area that receives that population. That's made Boston catch up to other major metropolitan areas in terms of their affordability challenge.
Employers such as the banks are beginning to realize they have to be in to pay people. You used to get away with paying people less in Boston than New York, for instance, but no more. And this is part of what's driving that. So despite the rising cost of rent, do you see a slowdown in the market at all, or are things still going to be moving at a pretty normal pace?
Yeah, I mean, so let's talk seasonal versus kind of non-seasonal rents. So if we're just talking seasonal patterns, October and November, these are the months where we see rents grow the slowest. The fastest months are actually leading into like April and June when people are thinking about that next year, right? They're close to graduating and they're making those plans. By October and November, those moves for school have happened. And this is the time of year where a renter could maybe get more recessions or a bit more of a break. If I'm thinking long run trends and where we're going, rents actually fell in October as we expected, but less than maybe pre-pandemic would have been normal at this time of year, which tells us that rent pressure is returning. So there were a lot of new apartments this year, and that helped take that pressure off in terms of that trend. But again, Boston continues to be such a place, an attractive place to live and build careers, that rent growth, we see some early signals of it building again.
This is where they want to be. Well, Skylar Olsen, chief economist at Zillow, thanks so much for sharing your expertise. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good luck out there. Take care of Boston.